Hello everybody, so today you join us on what is the end of our hay shed. Okay, so this is the shed. A few weeks ago we filled up with all the hay. There we are. Okay, so that's all the hay we baled in there. As you'll see, the end has been stripped off, all the Yorkshire boarding is gone, and there is some machinery here. Okay, so what we're doing in today's video, we are, well, I'm not going to do much of it, but an extension is getting put on both ends of this shed. So what we're going to do, we're going to put another 2 bays on this end and 2 bays onto the far end as well. This end is much more advanced, and the frame is going up tomorrow. So just a quick little disclaimery type thing. I'm not going to be able to film the actual, or I'm not going to be able to film much of the actual building of it. The guy that's doing the work doesn't want to be on film, which is fine. Not everybody wants to do that. And for most of tomorrow, I'm not actually going to be here working with it. When me and Dad have got slurry to pump, so we're going to be pumping slurry. Ben is going to be here with the builder, getting the frame up. So this project actually started probably September, October last year. We decided we needed to make it bigger to get more straw in the dry. So we got planning permission, we got the shed ordered, all the steel got ordered, all the roof and the timbers and everything. So all the steel work came pre-cut with the angles. Ben welded it all together, and it's the same as he did with this one. Okay, so this is a homemade shed that we built in 2013. And the lean-to down there, we put that on 2022, we did that one. Yeah, so this year we're going to extend it again, 2 bays on each end. So 30 foot onto each end. We did all the groundwork for this end probably in November of last year. We stripped the topsoil away, stoned it out, dug the holes, and have installed the holding down bolts. Okay, so they're all in, ready to go. All we've got to do is whip the nuts off, and then it can be stood up tomorrow. Original plan was to carry on in November and put this up, but it was just too wet. We couldn't strip the end off, we couldn't let any rain get in the shed, and everywhere around, despite the fact we've stoned out this bit, we haven't stoned out the lean-to and all of this behind us where we need to be driving on. It was just too wet. We had to abandon the project. So this is as far as we got, and then we shelved it. Let's go down the far end and see how far we've got. Right, so now we are down the far end. So back in the autumn last year, what we did, we stripped off all the topsoil, ready for getting the stone base in. Because of all the rain, it was just too wet to get out here and even finish stoning it out. Another problem we've got over here, we do need to move a land drain. There's a land drain running under here, and it's going to fall in line with where the post needs to go. So we need to rejig the land drain, take it round so it's actually running outside of the building. And in November of last year, just was no time to be doing that. So we abandoned this end even more so than the other end. But the benefit of that now is, hopefully, into this video I can add what bits I can of as we're doing the groundwork for this end. So the video will probably end up jumping around a little bit because we'll be building the frame on the far end before we get to the groundwork on this end. But hopefully we can cover most of it, and then you kind of get an idea of what's happening. So like we've already seen, the first job was to strip off all that Yorkshire boarding, ready to extend on. You'll notice we have left all the timbers in because two end bays of that, what is now the 2 end bays of that shed are going to become a feed store. So the timbers are all left there to sheet it in. It will need like a solid wall in there. What we've had to do, because it is an extension, you'll see up on the end of the purlins up there, plates have had to be added, ready to take the purlins for the next 2 bays. Okay, so that's all done. So all we need to do is get the frame up, get it timbered out, and it's 2 frames for 2 bays, and that is a surprisingly quick job. And I wouldn't be surprised if I missed all of it tomorrow, but we'll see where we go. We'll see how far we end up. Right, so time for an update. As you can see, we have made quite a bit of progress. So all the frame is up, all the steelwork is finished now. A lot of the timbers have gone into the roof, you can see. Still probably a bit less than half the timbers have gone in, so a few more to go yet. But I think one thing I did forget to say last time we recorded, I did say how we took the Yorkshire boarding off of the end of the existing shed. We are actually replacing that onto the end of the extension. I don't think I said that, but you can see some of the timbers have gone in to support that. So just the same thing from a different angle. It's surprising how quickly these things go up. Once you're all prepared, once the foundations are in, it doesn't take long at all to get to this stage. And now down at the opposite end, you can see good progress has been made. So this, like we said earlier on, this whole area was stripped off back in the winter. But what we've done, took away the weeds, just scraped all the weed growth away, put in some stone ready to start making the base. You can see we've got a string line in. We've got some more string lines to go in the morning yet. Okay, but that line there is that is the end of the building. So the post holes will be dug underneath that string line. And then we've got some more profiles out. So what we'll do, we'll get some lines marked up between that and the row of posts on the end of the shed. And then we'll run another string. And then another string will run kind of on this line, obviously in a straight line, not like my finger. And then by doing that, and there will be another one running off of that post line there as well. And once those string lines are set, that is how we square everything up to make sure that our extension is square from the building. Any adjustments we need to make on the string lines is done before any holes get dug. And then once we're certain everything's in the right place, tomorrow we will dig out the foundation holes. So it will be same again for the lean-to. Okay, there's our frame. We haven't put the screws into it yet, but we will line up with the center of that post over there. You can see the timber in the bottom of the post. So there's a nail on that timber in the center of the post, and then what we'll do, we'll square up. We'll end up putting a screw in here, into here, putting a screw into this timber, and then we'll get our straight line for digging the post holes for the lean-to. And we have also made a start on rerouting the drains. So the grey drain pipe we can see here is the clean water, rainwater from the gutters on the cubicles and some of the milking parlour. So that all runs down here and into what was the ditch. And we have filled in the ditch. And we are going to reroute around the edge. Also another one here, this is a field drain that runs across up to that gate there. So there's a drain running down under the field there, and that comes to here, and that will all be rerouted. We're just putting a temporary trench for now, just to take away any rainwater that might fall while we're actually doing the building. And then once we're finished off, this will then become a ditch. We're going to reroute the ditch around the edge of the building, but we just didn't want to put the ditch in yet. We don't want a massive ditch here while we're around with machines. We just wanted a small trench just to get rid of any rainwater that comes now. And then when we're all finished up, we'll put in a nice ditch around the end of the building and carrying on down there where it always has. So there we go, all looking good so far. We have been busy, as you can tell. Right, so we will come back tomorrow with another update. we go, temporary ditch is running. Taking all the water off around that way, bypassing the building site. So what we've done, we've cut the pipe across there, just turn the elbow over, and that's the rainwater coming out. There's rather a lot coming out, so it makes me think that pipe over there was running uphill a little bit. So yes, this is all running downhill now, so that's good. And just in there you can see the field drain. So we've taken out 2 pipes, and that's left us the hole in the trench. That the chance of that field drain running over the next couple of months is pretty slim. But this grey rainwater drain will run every time we get a shower. That will run because it's catching a big area of roof. But I don't expect anything to come down the field drain. But that's all heading off to the ditch properly in the right direction. So here we have all of our foundation holes now dug. It's 8 holes ready to take 8 posts, and you can see they are all filling up with water. That is perfectly normal here, and we do have a high water table. No matter how much of a dry summer we get, we dig a hole 3 foot deep and it will fill up with water. Well, it won't fill up, but it will get to that level. And this is the reason we don't have a below ground slurry store. It would just fill up with water. So that is why we have the tower, and all our slurry has to be stored above ground. So the holes are 2 foot square, and they are dug to a depth so that there's 3 foot of concrete underneath the base plate of the posts. Okay, so below all the posts will be 3 foot of concrete, and into that concrete will be set the bolts, the holding down bolts to bolt to. So now we are making up the holding down bolts. So that is what we've got there, a finished article ready to sink into the concrete. That's what we get. We get our bolt, which has a square underneath the head there, a square plate that sits on the bolt, and then we get a waxed cardboard cone. So that's how they sit together. Look, the plate on the bottom of the bolt, then the cone, and then there's a plywood square with bolts that match the pattern of the bolts on the bottom of the uprights, and a cross on there. That is how you set centrally and square off of your line of your building. That's what we do. So the purpose of these cones is so that concrete doesn't tightly surround the bolts. The concrete just catches so the square plates are buried in the concrete, so that unit there sits right in the concrete up to the underside of the base, the wooden board. The purpose of the cones is to stop concrete totally surrounding the bolts, so that you get a little bit of room to wiggle them as you're standing the uprights up. Sometimes they're not quite right. You get a little bit of movement around. It allows the bolts to move just a little bit. And then once your shed is up and finished, you then grout around the base of the posts, and then the space of that cardboard tube is filled with concrete or liquid, kind of liquid cementy, grouty stuff to keep it all locked solid. So we've got to make one of those for every post. So let's get to it. So here we now have completed bolts, all set in concrete. So the concrete was poured this morning, set to level, and then the bolts pushed in. And as you can see, hopefully if I can get it right, should cross over. There we go. The strings cross. There's a cross on the board. So this is the corner. This is the new corner of the original shed rather than the lean-to. So yeah, so all lines up very nicely. And then next set of holes there. So the pouring of the bolts. So the pouring of the concrete for the bolts seems to be an apt point to end this video. But this will end up being part 1, and I expect part 2 will just be the whole thing finished. So there we go. Thank you very much. So I would say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed something a little bit different and seeing a bit of construction on the farm. So I'll say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.